When I say you only need to train 3 days a week, first, my question is going to be like, what do you mean 3 days a week? You could be training 3 days a week and not actually doing anything positive. You could be training 6 days a week, but you're actually not training in a more positive way, in a more productive way, in a more effective way. Running out of words. Effective way. So the idea is not how not many trainings you do a week, it's how well you're training, how well you're actually creating this beautiful mind muscle connection that often we don't realize and we don't talk about. I have so many girls that come to me and say, why you're the only one who talks about this? And I'm like, I'm not the only one, but it's definitely the ones that is actually screaming because this is so important. Isa, what is the mind muscle connection? What is this? Okay. So, you know what? I keep saying and I keep talking about all my content about the training smart. Okay. So I want to break down that to you. Imagine that you're doing a squat. And I'm literally going to stand up and do a squat. Hold on. So if I'm over here and I'm just doing a squat, that squat means nothing to me because one, I wasn't paying attention on my movement. I was not trying and looking and pay attention and focusing on which muscle I'm working. How am I activating the muscle? When you do training like this, when you're not aware of your movement, you're not creating this mind muscle connection. Doesn't matter how many times you train, does not matter who is next to you. I could be next to you as a trainer, and if I didn't ask you, if I didn't make sure you were actually doing the work, you're feeling the work, that would not be enough. So that's why when people look at me and say, is 3 days enough? Is 4 days enough? Is 5 days enough? My answer is going to be always like, what are you doing in those 3 days? What are you doing in those 4 days? Are you, number one, most important thing is, are you creating this mind muscle connection? Are you paying attention in your movements? Because it's funny because Amanda and I were talking about this in a restaurant, and I was explaining to her, she was like, oh, sometimes when I finish, sometimes I finish my training, I don't feel that I train enough. And I was like, okay, did you feel your muscles like tired by the end? And she was like, no. And I was like, so that's why you're lacking. You're lacking is understanding how your body works, understanding how do you activate your muscles so you can do the exercise much more effective. So that's why I'm so picky about mechanics. And I'm a hit on my girls so much. And I start creating so many videos for you to make you understand that it's not the amount of training that you do, is the quality of the training that you do. Most of my girls, they do 35 minutes training. 35 minutes training. And they are lean. They're becoming lean. Why? Because now they're understanding that they have to do something that nobody else can do for them, even if you have a trainer next to you, because the trainer is not going to feel the exercise the way you're going to feel. The trainer are not going to, they could actually help you fix your form, which is a very big thing too. But creating that connection, understand how your body works, that is what's going to make a difference. And that's why I'm so picky about how are you training? How do you supposed to train? So it's funny because in my story a little bit, tell you a quick story. And when I came here about 13 years ago, I went to my school. I went to do my master's. I got a scholarship to play soccer and swim in a small school in West Virginia, and a D2 in West Virginia. And when I got there, I had a really hard time, and I ended up I was 30 pounds heavier than I am right now. And it wasn't about the weight. I always say that. It wasn't about the weight. It was about the way I was looking myself, the way I was feeling, the way I was looking in the mirror, and I wasn't recognizing myself. First, I was in denial for a long time. Then I started noticing my pants getting tight. I was like, it's fine. I'll just work out extra and I'll be fine. But when I start realize, when it really clicked that I woke up, I had my day one. That's the day that I look in the mirror and I was like, who's this person? What is going on with me? I'm not the same person, right? And when I start going back, I start to training, I start to losing the weight, I start having better results, faster results than some of my clients, for example. And at the time, I was like, why do I have, why? Like, what is going on? So I start understanding and I start searching and I start looking and I'm like, wait a minute. Because I studied biomechanics so much, I studied kinesiology so much, and I understand how my muscle connection works. And I was like, I don't believe. Is that it? So when I realized, I was like, dang, I realized that what is happening right now is the fact that I know how to move my body, and some of my girls don't. That's when I put my foot down and I was like, I'm going to teach them in the most effective way. I'm going to teach them how to train smarter, how to train in a way that they're not just following somebody on the screen. They're just doing follow along. They're actually moving their body in more effective way. So I stopped looking for who's the best person who's the best in the world, who's the best of like cueing. Cue is what I say when I do my exercise videos. And I say like a push up. I was like, screw your hand and do this. I was like, who are the best? Who are absolutely the best in the world that can help me teach that to my clients in a better way? Found a guy. He's here in Boston. Couldn't believe. So, but I'll tell you who it is. I'll tell my whole story on February 2nd. February 2nd. Just write it down. February 2nd. So when I start understanding how to teach that better to my girls, guess what happened? They start having better results. They start having better results. They start seeing faster results because they understood that they had to learn something that nobody else can do for them. They had to understand how to properly move their body. So that's why I'm so picky when I teach exercise, when I do exercise tutorial to you guys, because I want you to take that. I want you to, you know what? I am going to learn this thing and I'm going to do it right. Because there's nothing worse, nothing worse than you keep doing things and you don't see results. That's why we get unmotivated. I was talking to this girl during the podcast, and she was saying that, I was like, okay, why do you quit? And she was saying, I don't know why I quit. And I was like, okay, let me ask you something. Would you get bored if you see your clothes fitting better? If every time you get out of the shower, you're feeling like confident? And she was like, I don't think I would get bored. So we get bored because we don't see results. We get bored because we get unmotivated. No, everybody would do. If you start doing something and you don't see the result coming out of the effort that you put in, who wants to do that? Right? So the idea is learning how to train in a smarter way, because when you learn in the smarter way, you're going to be able to see faster results. And when we get the results, we get motivated.